This is very much like the physician one. What are they going to do? We're going to cut back on K. They turn down the thermostat. They don't shovel the snow. We had a rent control. I remember when I first made these lectures, we didn't have really rent control in the United States, maybe New York. And then we had the pandemic and we had rent control. We had rent moratorium where the ceiling was 0. And of course, what landlords immediately stopped doing everything. They wouldn't shovel the snow. They wouldn't maintain anything. And it's like, you know, what are you going to do? Move out? I would love it if you moved out because you don't pay rent anyway. So that's what happened. But in the long run, the apartments are more elastically supplied. So we'd say more leases in the short run, fewer leases in the long run. There's another eye-opener for empirical work. A lot of empirical work focuses on the short run. And you might think, well, yeah, in the long run, the effect will be maybe different magnitude, but in the same direction. No, here is the opposite direction. Whatever you find, remember I said, you know, you have the kind of 2 cases, and they're mirroring each other. Whatever you find in the short run, it's very likely it's the opposite in the long run. And so here's the picture again. This could be for the physician's visits. This could be for the apartments. In the short run, K is less elastically supplied. We're down here on the red. More quantity. In the long run, we have less quantity. So the long run and short run are opposite. And we're not getting, now we've kind of solved this mystery. Theory's telling us the market's going to disappear, and we say, no, the market's not going to disappear. The supply and demand curves aren't stable, particularly the supply curve here. Supply curve is going to be affected by the regulation, and we'll still have trade in this market. The surplus will be reduced because it's a constraint on the trade, but it's not going to be eliminated. Here's a picture from Cuba. Cuba has not been bombed, but Cuba has had government set rents, and nobody maintains anything. And this is the type of housing you see all over Cuba. Not just housing, structures in general, you see all over Cuba. People live in places like this. It's not the same place as when they built it. And when they built it, there weren't government set rents. And now it's become a different place. So I have other examples, but I don't want to cut too much in the TA time. So I'm going to just wrap up with our main lessons here. Competition's going to continue. Don't expect miracles. Price regulations, they rotate the supply curve. And the long run effect can be, as we just saw, in the opposite direction, not just a different magnitude than the short run. Yes?
So you mentioned that a lot of empirical analyses of these things focus on the short run. What would kind of an adequate empirical analysis of this kind of phenomenon look like to you?
Well, this goes in a lot of empirical work. There's kind of 2 approaches. One, you can attempt to use your short run methods over a longer time period. And yeah, try it. Another thing is you can just put the pieces of the puzzle together. Say, okay, the short run is telling me this aspect of the TASER technology, and then I have some other information on other aspects of the TASER technology, and then I put them together, and I have some expectation about what will happen in the long run. You know, there's been some work like how now back to Murphy's interpretation of R, where R is the rental rate on capital. There's been work on, well, how does the rental rate on capital vary over many, many years? How does it vary across very different countries? It tends to be pretty constant. So that would be part of your model, R constant. And then you'd put in the different short run pieces, and then you'd have a pretty good picture. Those are kind of 2 approaches that we use. But if you're just not thinking through the price theory, you just say, well, I found the causal effect. The word "the" is very damaging in the whole thing, but I found the causal effect. And no, you found something, and price theory will help you understand what you found. But it's probably not the effect. Yeah, good, yeah?
So a follow-up on that, I was also thinking the data on the commodity cost versus all the other costs. It was really nice, but I'm thinking, do we need some sort of a balance sheet data for a work like this, or does it have? Are there industry-level summaries on the aggregate?
Yeah, I got these from what's called the input-output tables, which the national accountants in the United States called the Bureau of Economic Analysis. They get that from balance sheet submissions that are made with taxes and other sorts of surveys. Now, this could be done at the firm level. I mean, you could look at heterogeneity in these things. There's all kinds of work. I think once your eyes are open to the importance of that the product is endogenous, there's all kind of projects that come to mind that might not come in non-Chicago minds because they're not kind of focused on these issues by the theory. Yes?
And there's a missing part in this, argument, I guess, in terms of empirical work, because the best thing we always talk is we observe the prices. That's the whole, point. And we don't observe what customer spends or the consumer spends on their end. It's I guess a little challenge, little of a challenge for the empirical work in this case. Is it?
Now,